With Alarum, working with the great Sly Stallone, was there kind of a similar dynamic? I mean, he's been in the game for God knows how long. Was he sharing with you any sort of stories about the biz or anything like that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, what I picked up most from him, which I thought it was less fanfare and more about like his take on material. And I've been telling people, I'm like, the reason that the Tulsa King show is so good is because I think that Stallone really has a good take. He writes on the show and he
Right.
knows his own character so well. He knows who he is and what audiences like. He injects that humor into it, makes it kind of charming and fun. And that's just who he is. He's a very acclaimed writer director.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I love your guys' chemistry. I guess this was the first time you've worked together, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, you guys were great. And for you preparing for the role of Joe, I mean, it's a cool spy movie, spy character. Did you, I don't know, brush up on any, espionage movies in preparation for
Yeah.
the movie or
Yeah. I mean, you watch all the good ones, I mean, look, this one, what I liked about this one is it kind of had that Mr. and Mrs. Smith element, to it, the characters at least. And so yeah, you brush up on that type of stuff, but this one was fun. It was just like a fun movie to go make.
yeah, absolutely. Did you embrace any sort of uh unique research or training for this kind of role, leading up to production? Was there anything like that going on or
No, not really. You brush up on gunplay a little bit on this, that, and the other, but that you kind of do that on the day. It's like riding a bike, once you've done it enough.
yeah. Yeah, and you're opposite the great Willa Fitzgerald. Had you seen the movie Darling
I
before?
haven't seen it, but let's see, the second person today has told me about it. I gotta
Yeah,
go.
it's like she's such a badass in that movie. I was like, oh, you're gonna watch it and be like, whoa, So, anyways, I encourage it. Well, cool. I also was going to ask, I really enjoyed your dad's latest movie, Juror Number Two. I could relate to it. I've served on three juries myself. It's a pain in the ass. But it's a wonderful movie. Everyone seems to like it. I was curious if you would ever be interested in putting on the director's hat in the future.
Yeah, yeah. It's a lot of work, but I think I've been doing it long enough to know when because what happens is you start working with good directors and you start, you kind of go back and forth, you vacillate because, if you want to keep working and stay working, you got to sometimes work with directors who aren't as good or producers who aren't as good. And you kind of, then you start going, I know how to do this better than you know how to do it. And so you're like, okay, I'm gonna have to just go and do it on my own now. But I gotta pick the right material.
Yeah, I totally get it. Well, I hope it happens. I think you'll be great. I'm not just saying that. Do you have a favorite Sylvester Stallone movie? Something you sort of cherished before this movie, of course.
I mean, I was always a fan of Rocky, always a fan of Rambo.
Yeah.
I liked all the like the action movies he did too. I mean, I'm a sucker too for even the Expendables and some of the
Yeah.
later stuff that's just, kind of pulls in all those action guys. Like I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. And you've been in some incredible action movies yourself. I mean, outside of Stallone's work, do you have a favorite, that you've always held close to your heart, whether it's something you've been in or just one of the classics you sort of swear by?
Yeah, look, I really loved Lethal Weapons growing up.
Yeah.
Those were great. I loved those films.
Yeah.
So I think trying to like find something like that would be cool to
Yeah.
redo or to make, an original concept,
Yeah.
something like
If
that.
I love the script of Lethal Weapon too, like reading it. I think it's so well done. Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good one. I also wanted to ask, I know you shot a movie at the movie Tin Soldiers with Jamie Foxx and Robert De Niro. I was curious if you had any updates on that. A lot of folks were curious and maybe,
Yeah, I mean it's gonna come out. It's just where it comes out. I think they were trying, I mean, like the film market was so shit in the last like the last year and a half, 2 years. But I think it's getting better, or at least it should, is what kind of, the smart money says.
Yeah,
It wasn't a great market to sell movies in. So I know that it was a pretty substantial movie and, wanting to sell it and get it at in the best hands for the best viewership. So there's some of that going on.
of course. Are you able to share like, I don't know, what your character is like or what the production was like or anything? I mean,
Production was insanity.
yeah,
But the character's cool. I mean, it's this guy, they got to pull back, they got to go to him because they wanted they need to find a way into this cult, this, like, imagine like a military cult. Um, so instead of, like the Bhagwan or Wild Wild Country, it's like ex-military people carrying AKs. Uh, the government wants to shut it down, so they have to come back and find this one guy who had been there before. That's me, and so that's sort of the character I play.
cool. Well, I can't wait to see it. And
Yeah.
yeah. And in the meantime, of course, Alarm's great. I think a lot of people are going to have fun with it. Yeah, I didn't even, now that you mentioned the Mr. and Mrs. Smith angle, I mean, that didn't even occur to me, but now that you say it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a great. But of course, it's, completely different in a good
Yeah,
way. So,
it's a different movie.
cool. It's a lot of fun. Um, and I was also going to ask, did you, is there something, oh, you've worked with some of the great stars, like we talked about Ray and Sly and, all these action movies and, drama movies, comedy movies you've done. Is there anyone left in Hollywood who you haven't worked with that you've had your eye on that you still
Oh,
want to work with? Someone
ton
who's,
of people.
yeah,
A ton. I mean, I'm most infatuated with working with really good directors, though.
yeah,
The top 10 directors that are making movies today, and I think we all know who they are. Um, those are the people that I want to work with.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, of course. Well, yes, I'm sure it'll happen. You have a, a long career ahead of you, so that's great. Do you
thanks.
have any, I know you've been in a couple of those Fast, Furious movies. Do you have any thoughts about the future of the franchise, where it's headed, and
Yeah, yeah. I think are great. I think they're always fun to jump back into, and I think we'll do another one. I'm not sure when exactly, but they're always a good time. They're big, they're fun.
yeah, of course. And Alarum sets up a cool universe with all these different characters. It's a nice little uh, ensemble. I mean, would you welcome the opportunity to revisit Joe for some sort of spin-off or sequel or
I mean, like,
well,
this movie's got to resonate with people first. I mean, we'll see what people think. It's
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, of course. Makes sense. All right. Well, thank you, Scott. I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me, and it was good to see you again, of course. I hope we can do this on the next one.
same.